Hi everyone, it's Angus here. I've had a couple of people ask me how I set these Pionex trades. And so yesterday was quite a long red day. And as I was starting to set up this video, it had just ticked over and turned green. So I'm already a little bit behind where I'd like to be, but I would have entered it, as soon as I saw that little green, candle starting to flicker. And so a bit of a risky trade, but just because it had such a big drop, I'm hoping that it might recover, up to this sort of mark up here, and we'll just see how it goes. So I go across to Pionex, I go to futures, I go to a futures bot, and this has moved. So it was on the left-hand side, it's now on the right-hand side, which confused me for a bit. I'm going to do a futures grid, so I'm going to go create. I'm going to put $100 on it, I hope, but I'm going to go the lowest price that I want my grid to be. If I zoom in and have a more detailed look, I'll use this rather than going back to trading view, but if it gets to there, like if it closes below yesterday, I want to get out. So I'm going to say, I'll start my grid at, let's say 61,000, which I won't really need. And I'm going to say 120,000 because I think, it might go up to 80,000, 100,000 once this halving is passed. And so you don't want to get stopped out because, you run out of grid. And so the quantity of grids, I want to get to around about 1%. So I'm going to say, let's put in 100 grids just for now. But I've got to fiddle all these things here first. So I'm going to say my investment that I want, I'm just going to put $100. It's saying it's got to be greater than 228.7. So 228.7. Sometimes it says you've got to have a minimum amount. I want to do this at 50x just for the fun of it. Maybe let's do 100x and just see what happens. So what I'm going to do, what's going on here? So this is my grid. Just bear with me while I work out what I'm doing. So I'm going to say I want 100 exit. I want to put $100 on it. And so that's out of my available balance. So the price range is that I want to make this less. I'm going to say let's do 50. I'm trying to get this to around about 1%, this bottom value here. But because I'm going to try and get to this area here, I want to try and take profit as I go up. So let's say 100. Let's say you can see there's another grid in there. If I said 200. So you can see how it's really detailed through there now. And so because I'm probably going to get out somewhere up here, I want it to sort of take profit as it moves. So that's why I'm having more grids. But the less grids, I think, the better it actually does. But it's just because I want a short-term trade. And so I've got $100 at 100x. My available balance in my account is that. Actual investment after leverage is that. So have I done everything that I normally do? I've got this auto reserve here, and you can fiddle with that auto reserve. Estimated liquidation price is 60,000, so that's what I'm looking for. So if I wanted to make that further away, then I could fiddle with this auto reserve and I could increase the amount. So I just want to show you that. So if I go, actual investment is $100, but see how it's at 62,000 is where I get cut out because I don't have any extra margin being applied. So that'd be close, that'd be disastrous. So if I put in $100 extra margin, see how my stop loss is now 61. If I put in $1,000, see how my liquidation is now down at 54. So it sounds silly because I'm investing $100, but that's at 100 times leverage, and I'm potentially risking $1,100 total to be able to play with $10,000. And so, it's not an unfair return. But let's go back to this one here because I don't need to put that much in. I'd like my stop loss to be around 60 grand. So let's say 200. So that's around 61, which is at the bottom of just below where the bottom of my grid line is. So I'm effectively I'm risking $300 now to be able to play with $10,000. I keep saying the word play. This has got to be money you're prepared to lose. And, the amount of time I'm mucking around, wasting time putting this video together, I've, already lost, what could have been a considerable amount of gains. You can put in a take profit, you can put in a stop loss. I'm going to set a stop loss just around here. So that's at 61.3. So stop loss. is at a limit price, 61,300. And this is kind of cool. So if you get a wick that just dips down and then dips out, you've got the ability to set a counter just to stop it happening. So unless it crashes through that level, I might set that to 10 seconds. And so you can see here, my price range is that to that. My estimated liquidity price is that. And so I'm going to go OK. And I'm going to go create. You always got to cross your fingers and hope you've done everything correctly. I don't do this often enough. And if there's anyone who has better ideas of how to do this, let me know. Sometimes I activate this slippage control. I never really know what it does. I've Googled it and looked at it, and I think if you're trading really thinly traded coins, altcoins, where there might be a big gap between the bid and the buy and the sell, then you'd probably trigger this. With crypto, because there's so much volume, I don't think it really matters, but let's do it for the fun of it. So let's go create, and let's go OK. See, it says my investment's 300 because it's $100 plus $200 margin, which means my leverage value is 10 grand, and I'm going to get liquidated at 60,000. So let's go OK. And so my grid is now being transfer funds, insufficient balance. What does that mean? I've got 4,800 available to the futures account. So it must mean when I sold. Let's do that. This is sometimes annoying. So available balance is 4,358. So I don't know that that's created a grid for me. Let's just have a look. I don't think it has, so that's a bit dumb. I'll go have to make this video again. Trading bot. It's actually my futures bot, so select order. Go away. Futures bot. Well, it says there. So I don't know what that was all about. And somewhere up here, if I go again, I can never ever find it. Trading bot orders. Here we go. So you can see this is where my grid is about to start running. I've got this existing one going down here, got this one here. And so these are just different grid bots that I've had running, over different periods of time. So you can see this one's preparing to, start. Would have been better if I'd bought, right down the bottom down here, which is where I intended to before I started making the video. But hopefully there's enough little wiggle in it for me to do okay. I've got a bit of a suspicion that because I ticked that box that said, only buy with a 0.1 spread or whatever it was, that's why it's just delaying getting into the market. There we go. Bought a bit more. There we go. So that's fulfilled it. So when you start off, often you're down, but you can see here. So see how I'm theoretically up $7. So I'm up 10%, up a bit more, down a bit, and then it's just a matter of checking out the information here to make sure you're happy. So I've got $100 invested, which is at 100 times long. You can see it's been running for 3 minutes. I my range for my grid is between 61 and 120,000. So outside those two ranges, it basically stops buying and selling. I've had 0 rounds. You can see my start price was 62. My liquidity price, pretend it's 61. It may as well be 61. And my extra margin is 200. So I've effectively got $300 at risk to be able to use $10,000 to effectively buy crypto, or effectively buy Bitcoin, I should be more precise. You can do things like you can stop the bot at any time. You can adjust your margins, so reduce your liquidity type area. You can release profit if the bot's got profit in it. You can see how it's got this grid profit, where it's taken profit. You can release that and reinvest it, not back into this bot, but into other bots. You can add or reduce your investment, so you can increase how much you've got on it. If it's going particularly well, you can edit your price ranges, pause the bot, modify the bot name. You can do things like share with other people, share with poster. I think that just basically means it gives me something like this that I can then put onto social media to brag. Profit rate and profits in. So I can, if I'm doing particularly well, I can flash that up, which I think then has a referrer code in it. The main thing I look at is I go to my parameters and I have a look here, and so it's interesting, it didn't set a stop loss. Why didn't you set a stop loss, little bugger? So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to say I want a stop loss. What do I say? 60. Well, it won't matter because I'm going to get liquidated, but pretend that I put a stop loss in at 61,000, which really doesn't matter because I'm going to get liquidated below that anyway. But if my bot has made considerable profit, then what I'll do is I'll put this stop loss in and I'll start to move this stop loss up as the profit goes up. So you can see at the moment it's down a little bit from where I bought. So you can see a stop loss is now set there with a 30-second delay. The trigger price, I don't need to worry about that sort of stuff. I don't need to worry about take profit. I could put a take profit in and say, if it went up to a certain price, take it. I could say if it went up to a percentage level, take it. I could say if it hit 100%, let's see what happens, take profit. I've never used that before because I tend to use up stops. I tend to move my stops up until I get stopped out, but so I might do that just for the fun of it. You can see how quickly your fortunes reverse. So I would have bought it quite high up in this candle just because of the sake of this exercise. If I drop to a lower time frame, just to see what's happening. So you can see it started to pull back. I'd always prefer to buy it, when I get a MACD crossover below the 0 line on a smaller time frame, or even better on a bigger time frame. You can see here that crypto or Bitcoin is still fairly overvalued based on that, and you'd want to wait till momentum sort of shifted more in your direction a bit better. But as I said, I'm just taking a bit of a bet just purely for the sake of making this video, so I'll leave it running for a bit longer. You can see I'm down 35, price is at 62, my stop loss is at roughly 61. Sometimes you'll be patient with these things, but I'm hoping because of such a big dip that we might get back up to somewhere like this area here. So this 63.9, just because I think, you're likely to recover half of this candle or a bit less unless the whole thing just dives. I feel like there was such a dominant sell day yesterday that as long as I can survive getting stopped out, and don't forget, if I get stopped out around here, that's okay. But I'm hoping that I can wait until this goes up a bit. So there's no point sitting here and watching this endlessly, so I'll probably stop the video here, but I'll come back and revisit it. I'm down 50%, which is $50. So, that $100 is, money that I can afford to lose. At 100 times leverage, you're definitely gambling. if it was at 50 times leverage, my liquidity price would be further away. If I was 5 times leverage, it would be even further away. And so it's just a matter of trying to work out what your balance is, what your personal balance is as your personal level of risk. $100 for me is something that I'm certainly prepared to experiment with. If I had $100,000 on this, which I wouldn't, but if I had $100,000, I'd really want to see Bitcoin at a very much an all-time low, beaten up, and your RSIs and your MACDs and whatever indicator you use, sort of suggesting it's at its bottom. And be very, very confident that it was going to reverse and head back up. But at 100 times leverage, you can almost experience a year's worth of gains in a couple of hours. So we're back up to minus 18, minus 15, minus 16. So it's happening on a smaller time frame. So, if we got back up to somewhere around here, these sort of levels could be good. That was a big dip, so I must have gone down a fair bit now. Yeah, down 20. But because I've got my grid so close together, you can see I've already taken a little bit of profit. It's to say you're still down significantly, but I could theoretically go in here and I could go release profit. And it says withdrawal amount. You could go all, and we'll let you take out that 20 cents if you wanted to. But if you take that out, it does affect your liquidity. So see how my 998 current estimated liquidity price is that. So I don't know why, but if I take that out, all of a sudden my liquidity goes up a bit. Those dumb things, but normally it goes down to 5 or down to 5.2. So I'm only just losing. Let's have a look a bit more closely, see what's happening. Let's drop to the 1 minute. So you can see a bit of a recovery. All right. So I'm back up 10%. So I'm back up $10. Back down to $7, back up to $10, back up to $12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So it really is just about making sure that you don't get stopped out on these, big longs straight away. If I'd made 10% on a stock this quick, I'd be very happy, and you take profit. But this is very much in that gambling type arena. So I'm up 18, up 17, up 19, 16. I don't know how long this video will last. Remember that I've got a take profit at 100% if I hit 100%. So it's got a bit of momentum going through now. I don't have any volume. Let me go volume. So I've got my candles back, so the volume's sort of running out here, but let's put on a 30-day average. 20 days will do. So volume's a little bit low. Over 20 period, which is 20 minutes. So up to 24%, 25%, 20%, 21%. And you can see it's saying here that if this was to run for a year at this rate, you'd make crazy type of returns. If it continues going up as quickly as it is, the bot's now been running 13 minutes and I'm up 23%. Whenever this happens, you always think, geez, it'd be nice to have $1,000 or $10,000 or $100,000 on it. Again, it just depends on what you're prepared to risk. at 100x, you've got to be fairly confident that the trade's going to go in your direction. As I said, I would have much preferred to have taken this trade at the start of the new time period, like, when I first started looking at this, and I thought I'll have a crack at it, make a video. It was literally, at that level down here, and, it would have been up probably 100% plus by now. So Bitcoin's up, let's say 2%-ish. That 2% goes a long, long way when you're at 100 times leverage. But you can equally go backwards just as quick. You can obviously look at all the charts here on Pionex. I just prefer to, look at the full-size trading view chart if I'm doing things. Gives me a bit more real estate. See, these are all the orders that are, in the system and ready to be filled, and it sort of tells you, sort of how far away. You can see this green bar and this red bar moving. Tells you what transactions have occurred. So you can see how it's got 2 rounds here. So I've got 2 rounds. In theory, you could put in a stop loss that said if you're down 20%, take profit, but you would have seen how quickly you would have got stopped out. It might be a bit like watching paint dry. So if you edit this margin, all it does is it moves your liquidation price around. If I wanted to put in, let's say, $1,000, and add that, you can see my margin goes down to 53. If I wanted to take out all my margin, which is $200, you can see my stop loss now goes back up to 62,452, and so it's within $500 of the current price, which is tiny amounts. I tend to just basically leave them alone once I've set them up and got them running. As I said, all I do is I add a stop, and depending on how the how the profit's going, I just tend to move that stop loss up. And these ones here where I'm up so much, I tend not to have a stop on them at all. Anyway, it doesn't look like we're going to get to our 100%, and it doesn't look like we're going to get to our stop loss anytime soon. So I think this has been probably too long a video as always, but it might be of interest just to people who are looking at whether they get into Pionex or not and how it all works. But you can see my 25% gain is now all of a sudden down to 6%, 3%, 2%, and back into the negative. Oh, and back up positive, back down negative, back up positive. So you can see the swings and fortunes of 100x trading. It's can be pretty brutal, but as I said, it's just a fun way to play with $100 at a time if you've got it, and prepared to lose it, of course. All right, I'll leave the video there and wish me the best, and I'll post an update as to how it went in the comments. Have a bit of a run. My target is really this level here, this 63. Let's say if I got up to 63,990, what would that do for me? So if I went and changed this to say price, I said take profit at 63,990. was hoping it might tell me what my percentage gain would be. Doesn't tell me down there. Let's leave it at 100. I'll just cancel because I've already got in there. So anyway, back up to 15%, and this time I'm definitely going to go. Wish me the best.